Oh, Jake's nodding. He must have pressed a button somewhere. This is a Podful of Saints. Yet again, we're back on Tuesday, the 29th of October, 2024. I don't know, what's this, about our 14th edition of the season, something like that. And we've got a rare,
140th.
rare, it may feels like it, a rare thrill of looking back on a City win. We'll come to that in a minute. With myself, David Tavener. As previously mentioned, Jake Ellacott.
Hello, Dave. Hello, Lee. Hello, everyone. What a week.
Yeah, a week's a long time in tedium. Evening, Leewood.
Only Tuesday. What are you boys talking about? Goodness me. Yeah. Good evening, fellas. Good evening, everyone. What should we talk about today, boys?
Oh.
Well, we're going to look back on the Saints' 5,088th match, which was our 176-3-2 victory. But before that, actually, I want to go back the previous week to the Welling game, because we had an omission in that one. There's one player we should have mentioned, we didn't. Alex Lancashire. I thought he had a really good game for them. Former Saints. How we missed it in our review, I don't know. He had a really good game. He looked mature. He looked strong. He looked composed. And I think they've done well to get him. Did he stick in any of your memories from that game?
Yeah, he did well in the sense of I don't think we posted much of a challenge. But yeah, nice to see you back, Alex. Hope you're doing well. I'm sure we'll see you again soon.
Well, I'm not sure he will. We won't see him for a few games because 3 days later he got sent off as they scrambled to a 1-0 win over Enfield Town. Anyway, right, on to his magnificent win against Bath City. What a bizarre game. First half, I thought their goalkeeper, Harvey Wiles-Richards, made 3 superb saves. Jack James, good save. Tip over from whoever it was. He tipped over from Ken Charles, I think. But the save from Ken Charles' header, absolutely superb. But the second half, funny enough, we posed less threat. We scored 3 goals. But I will let you two kick off in detail about this one.
Oh, go on, Lee.
Okay. I'm slightly unnerved the fact that Tabs doesn't want to speak as much about it, but it's a win. He doesn't like those. Yes. Fortuitous, for sure. But I don't think anyone who left the ground could really argue the fact that we were the better team. We haven't always got what we deserved in recent games, but I think Saturday was a real uplifting performance. I thought we were attacking from the off, and look, one good song doesn't make an album, certainly, but I think that given the upturn in form over the last sort of 10 days has been good. The whole situation at the club, it needed a change. It warranted a change. It deserved a change. And, whether that's by hook or by crook, David Noble's got us playing some good football. And there's a balance to that side and a structure and a stability. And the last 2 performances have been good. Not groundbreaking, but they've been good. And we look positive. And you know what, fellas? It was good to see smiles back on faces and 3 points in that pocket as well, because it's been long overdue. And without getting sort of too carried away, I thought the performance certainly matched the result as well.
Before Jake kicks in, get back to the record analogy, Lee. One song doesn't make an album. This was more a B-side, 7-inch. I know you won't remember him, you're too young. 7-inch vinyl. It's a B-side. The A-side was the game at Slough. Superb game, far better game. But that said, Bath was a decent game. Right, off you go, Jake. You've been let loose.
Well, it's been a long time coming, hasn't it? For a win at Clarence Park. When was our last? Hampton, April. So fans have been eagerly anticipating it in the league, and like Lee said, it is great to see at the end some happy scenes. The fans, been lots of fans down the park this season who haven't been able to watch much good football apart from a few away teams that have done all right. So it was nice to see, and it was another improvement. It wasn't Tuesday night's performance. That was on another level, but it was a bit of a consistency there, especially first half, a bit of continuation. It was good to see. And importantly, it was us getting a result against a team that isn't in around the top 7 and 8. Top 7 and 8? Bottom 7 and 8. Not a great Bath side. I think you have to say that. We've heard from Bath, people involved at Bath, about how poor and how disappointed they've been with their team so far this campaign. So it was important to get that win against a team that we've sort of dragged into it. And it's just continuing the positivity, because like Lee said, hook or by crook, something has changed. We've needed it because we were just drifting away, to be honest. It's a positive change, and we've actually carried a little bit of momentum for the first time this season. After that result at Slough, we've actually continued it onto the next game. Really important, and it is something to build upon going into the next few weeks.
Of course, we went a goal down. Luke Russ, was it? Header at the back post. Jack James couldn't get him in, but you look at two other central defenders in there. Who were they marking? We've seen it many times, cross into the box, and we get beaten in the air and resulted in a goal. I'm not sure if it was Jack's player, but he was the nearest one to it. And of course, the alarm bells were ringing then. I think one you mentioned about what has changed. Well, we know what's changed. Sam Deadfield and Alfie Payne are no longer in the team. The two star summer signings, a club they got bogged down on possession players, and that's what they got with those two. What you lacked was an attacking edge from midfield. Now, I don't want to put those two players down. They're far better than I left, but that's for sure. Believe it or not.
You've done it already, mate.
But you brought in Matt Lynch, 32-year-old Matt Lynch, spring chicken, magnificent at Slough. Not quite so good Saturday, but certainly far better than most other midfield performances we've seen this season. If he plays like that rest of the season, we'll be perfectly happy because he is now feeding the forward players. I felt actually Saturday, Jake, Gill at Slough, he was doing more sideways passing than he did at Slough. But I guess that was just as we kept possession in their half and kept Bath pushed back a bit.
Yeah, I think you're right. We didn't quite have that same attacking incision. I think part of that was the maybe way we set up. And also, a few fans said this before the game, but Matt Lynch did have Joe Partington behind him on Saturday. And Joe Partington likes to pass the ball, but sometimes that passing isn't quite as maybe direct as we saw at Slough on Tuesday night. So I think the team around him maybe wasn't quite on the same level, but it worked though, didn't it? We retained that possession. We didn't allow Bath to counter us too much. And while it wasn't as exciting, we were ticking things over, weren't we? In a positive way that we just haven't done this season until the arrival of Mr. Matt Lynch.
With Ken Charles out wide, Josh Castelloni went inside again. Of course, got substituted again. That's a prerequisite. Went in his contract, I think it is. And Charles gave us a threat down that left-hand side. Who was it? Nick Grimes, who was marking him, eventually got booked for fouling him for the third time. First two actually didn't get picked up. It's surprised when he did get booked. And Ken was giving us a good threat down the flank, which we haven't always had this season, have we?
We haven't, but one thing I'd like to sort of see him add to his game is maybe a bit more in the goals as well, because he's getting into those positions and I wouldn't say he's wasteful. I think that'd be harsh because he's getting into fantastic situations. But I think maybe, I don't know what it is, but there's a couple of chances. He had two on Saturday. He's had a couple as well in the Welling game. He just hasn't put those away. And I think that element of his game will come. I mean, we know he can score goals, certainly, but I think he has that consistency to his game now. But he's adding more of a dynamic to the team going forward. One thing I would say about Lynch, obviously he came on in the Welling game quite late on and didn't really have time to sort of, affect the game in the way he would do. Slough, obviously, you fellas I've heard wax lyrical about his performance there. The game on Saturday, the quality of his delivery from set pieces in particular was absolutely outstanding. And I think considering that we are, a National League South side, we do struggle with really high quality set piece deliveries. And you look at the likes of Goddard, who was probably the last one to sort of do that. Even the manager himself, when he was playing, didn't really have a great set piece on him. It fluctuates. But I thought there was a spate in the first half in particular where we had about 4 or 5 corners in quick succession. Every single one of those crosses was on the money. It just caused havoc, and it really did give Bath something to think about. And it just adds another, because the thing is, there was an opportunity. I don't know whether you saw it, Jake, in the first half. There was an option. Someone come to sort of play the short one. Everyone's going, no, because we know how that's going to end. But I think Lynch, it was the first time I've seen him play a large amount, play a large amount of the game. And he was impressive. very impressive. He kept the ball well. He was almost directing that midfield. Retained the ball exceptionally well. And what happens then is that everyone around them just grows in confidence. And as you say, Taz, quite astutely, we were parked up in their half for quite a large amount of that time. And just to have someone like that pulling the strings, almost sort of like, like a Ram Marwar-esque sort of, getting your foot in, playing that quality ball, dictating that pace. And I think to have that in the side now is no surprise that our upturn in form has happened with his arrival.
In the second half, we went in a goal down. In the second half, we got level just after the hour. Sean Jeffers, a nice tidy finish in the middle of the box, helped by the keeper pushing the ball wide of a defender on the line, but we shan't mention that, of course.
Yeah.
The move, we saw there, the Gio Rasulu at his best. The ball he put over the top, out to the right, for Jack James to get on and square it, very similar to our second goal at Slough when McKees Evans got the goal. That is what we want from Rasulu. We haven't seen enough of it this season. And with him doing that and Lynch doing what he's doing, we're not playing like Nobby wanted us at the start of the season by any stretch of imagination. It's more what the supporters want. And lo and behold, you get a ball in the box, you get chances, you get goals.
I mean, we know Rasulo's a good player. We saw it in Spates last season, didn't we? But I'd say we haven't seen it since Maidstone away back in March, myself. Yeah. Yeah. So it's good to see that, and you just wonder is he feeling more confident with someone alongside him like Lynch that he knows will give him those options, those passes that he can then spin and distribute, and it looks much better. And as I say, I think this team will work, but we need players like Rasulo to step up. We said it a few weeks ago, didn't we? Players like Rasulo, they can't keep playing like they have been. They've got to step up and do things. And I think again in the last two games we've seen maybe the slightly bigger names in the squad maybe starting to up their level again. I don't know why they couldn't do it till now. Maybe it is Matt Lynch. I'm sure it isn't just him. Maybe it's the change in approach tactically and the change in how direct we're going. But it is suiting the players at the minute much better. And the team is just starting to tick, especially in the final third. Going forward, we're just starting to look that little bit sharper now.
One of the anomalies about us being right down at the foot of the table for the first, 13 games, whatever it was of the season, was the few number of goals we conceded. Maybe that was down to the defensive partnership of Deadfield and Payne. And so are we leaving ourselves more open? If Bath, who are not in the best of form lately, scored 2 goals, and they should have saved that match, of course, with the injury time penalty, are we going to give sides that chance to get more goals? Maybe not, because Matt Lynch, if you watch him quite often, he's back on the halfway line as well. So if he has to play a deeper role, you can imagine him doing that as well.
Yeah, I do agree, but I do think we are slightly more open in midfield right now because we don't have necessarily a designated defensive midfielder that can actually properly win tackles and get back and cover in front of the front four. But I don't mind it. If we're to get out of trouble, we need to score more goals than the opposition. And we did it on Saturday.
No.
I know. Almost did it at Slough on Tuesday night. And it is just the positivity that the approach is bringing to the team and the fans as a whole is really the big difference for me in the last week. And sure, we might get caught out with a few goals. And I think also David Long-King maybe missing from the start on Saturday didn't help. I know who's involved in the penalty towards the end. But, there's plenty of positives. And I don't mind us conceding a couple if we're going to win a few more points.
Well, it's interesting, David Long-King. Joe Partington, who came in for him, his passing, I think, has been a bit sharper the last couple of days. I don't mean last couple of games. Not that he's been quicker, been more accurate, less passing straight to the opposition player, straight in front of him. And that has helped us at the back a bit. And you see the switching around of him and Long-King last few games. Clearly, those two players are not fully fit. Otherwise, Nobby would go with one and just stick with that one. And you hope, for the team's sake, those injuries sort themselves out very quickly.
I think what you've also found is that you've got Woodman coming in who said that ship. He's been an absolute colossus in the back there. And for someone who's relatively young, he's really, really engaged. He's really switched on, very intelligent footballer. But also I think you've got James is now coming into, he had a bit of a blip sort of maybe a month ago. He's now re-established himself. But also Tafari Moore has got more games under his belt. He is posing, albeit, yes, an attacking threat, but he's getting up and down that flank as well to help defence to sort of shore up that back line. The one thing I would say, Taz, is that are we now seeing, the fruits of our labour, all of the hard work? And Nobby alluded to it himself on the non-league show last night when he spoke to Ollie there, is the fact that, teams have injuries, teams have setbacks. And the fact is now maybe we are seeing the fact that our team have got a bit more balance, a bit more stability. Those injured players are coming back and getting more game time. And hopefully now, along with the introduction of key good signings like Lynch and, Charles is sort of offering something different to what he was earlier on in the season, maybe that balance is there. Maybe they've now manifested themselves, the perfect opportunity to get ourselves back up that table.
Well, still say the summer signings have not shone, and the two biggest ones are now out of the team. And so Nobby's had to change his team. So what he planned for at the start of the season has gone out the window. There's no two ways about it. You said about the injuries. He's been very unlucky with injuries, no doubt about that. And they're starting to come back. That's true. But also, what about luck? We won at Hampton. Should never have won that. A deflected shot, our only shot on target, gets us the points. Saturday, 2 own goals and a penalty save in injury time. Michael Johnson, hero again. We'll come on to his penalty record in a minute. Magnificent. Had things gone the other way, Bath had enjoyed the good fortune that we did. Instead of now being 5 points behind them, we'd be 11 behind them. So we're not all conquering at the moment. We're riding our good fortune, taking it with us. We're quite happy to take that. But there's a little way to go yet before being certain we're going to get out of trouble. Yeah,
we actually had a really good tweet, a reply to our tweet from Andy, who said that it's undeniable that the last 2 weeks have been more positive in terms of what the Saints have done. But we need to show we can control a game for 90 minutes to prove it's more than the bounce of the ball that's dictating games. Last-minute goals and saves are great entertainment, but it doesn't suggest the team that's in control. And I think that's an excellent point, really excellent point. But I think what we need to appreciate is that this team, confidence and performances were rock bottom this time, 2 weeks ago. Absolutely abysmal. And I think that, it's a divisive topic at the minute, at the management role. But, as long as the team are continuing to build and the team are continuing to win and the performances are there or thereabouts as well, then I don't think anyone's really got to have any arguments. It's if it goes back and reverts to type as it has done for the previous 3 months, that's when the questions are going to get asked again. But let's take the last week at face value. A really excellent performance at Slough, a good result at home to Bath. It's the building blocks, Tabs. And yes, we're not going to be flawless. We're not going to be positive, but all of the time. However, it's a good start though, mate, right?
Yeah. Jake, do you think we're going to stick with this way we're playing at the moment, or as Lee hinted out, a possibility of reverting to the old form, the old style, which we hope, I think generally we won't do?
No, I mean, the bar was so low, wasn't it, for performances and displays in recent weeks? Up to, I'd say, probably 2 weeks ago, really, before Slough, that, surely we can only kick up from there. And I do agree, St, we've been unlucky. There's some fans just started trying to sing we're the unluckiest team in the Conference South the other week. But you cannot deny that the approach to games has totally changed in the last 10 days. The general vibe and the general attacking display we're putting on now is much improved. And if we step back from that, I think that'd be a mistake. I know we'll talk about the games coming up, but we do have 2 massive games, Chelmsford and then Weymouth. And I don't see we know Chelmsford, they can be got up. There's no point going back to the way we've been playing previously against a team that could easily cause us a lot of trouble. If we go out and impose ourselves in all the games coming up, I think we've got a much higher likelihood of picking up some more points and clawing us out of the current situation we're in than reverting to what we had. And I think you can see the players look much happier. They're enjoying their football much more, and they look much more comfortable in the slightly more dynamic approach that we've had in the last 2 games.
Of course, another strange thing Saturday, we didn't score in the first half. That's 10 times in the last 12 games we've not scored before half time.
Great stats.
It's incredible, isn't it? You would have thought a rubber to green, you'd get one in there somehow. And then suddenly, in the space of 7 minutes in the second half, Bath City I say no, 7 minutes, what it's taken us 7 games to do this season, which is scored 2 league goals in the York Road goal.
Yeah, but as Mrs. Wood says, it's not how you start, mate, it's how you finish. And to be fair, mate, we're going to be seeing this.
Goodness me.
It's, we're seeing now the fact that we are scoring goals. And, there were Jeffers' fantastic goal on Saturday. The way he peeled away from his defender, the defender was just ball watching. Jeffers of old, really. And I think he's been a bit unlucky. You talk about luck, right? He's been unlucky. He's been up there on his own at times. He's been forced on occasions when we're sort of trying to chase the game. I think the partnership now he's got with Charles and the players around him as well. Lynch is sort of almost commanding that maestro role, which then gives him a bit of a free rein to sort of do what he does. Mm-hmm. Unsung hero in all of this, Josh in the middle of the park, who's Taz has alluded to there. He gets carted off after 70 minutes at every single game. He came into the club in the summer, and he wasn't one of the headline signings that you spoke of, Tavs, but he worked extremely hard, and he's now sort of, maybe as he found like a little role there, but without him sort of putting his weight around as well, that it just doesn't happen. What I would say is this: the games coming up are going to be different to what Bath have offered on Saturday, and I think Nobby now, he's got a way of he's manifested this side now playing extremely well. But I think what we're going to see, is he intelligent enough? Is he advanced enough now as a manager to adopt to different teams coming to us and offering different challenges? Because that's where we've fallen short up until this point this season, where he's just stuck his head. This is how we're going to play. It's plan A, regardless of what happens, regardless of how the results are going. We've not adapted to the situations. Hopefully now he's learned from that over the past 3 months. And hopefully we can start picking up points when normally we don't.
Yeah, we'll come on to a Chelmsford game in a minute, and the 3 points we're obviously going to get there. Yeah. Michael Johnson, a silly foul by David Longking in injury time, pulling a player by a shirt in the penalty area. Why do it? Referee, perfect angle, saw it correctly, gave a penalty, booked Longking as well. And that's it. We thought that's it. The 2 own goals weren't going to be enough to carry us to victory, but fortunately it was. Michael Johnson, what can you say? He's faced 16 penalties in the City shirt, saved 8 of them. Another one has been put wide, so only 7 goals in those 16 penalties. When you're taking a penalty and you know the goalkeeper's got a record like that, it must play on your mind. But of course, last season, Scott Wilson, who took Saturday's penalty, scored for Bath down the park, and he opted to go for the same way. And Johnson, I've taken a bit of advice off the pitch, decided if you're going that way, I'm going to go that way again. He's phenomenal, isn't he?
Yeah, he's brilliant, isn't he? And he's had his critics this season, and I think some of those understandable. There's certainly been a few goals that he probably should have done better with, especially earlier in the season. But he's redeeming himself now, it feels like. It was an important save. Fair to say it was a good height for him. And he was a little bit off his line, I think, if we're fair to say, Johnny. But yeah, a really good stop. And it was crucial. And we talk about luck, but you need those players to step up in those moments. MJ did it. He made the save. Other keepers might not have. And we held on. It's really important. And you saw the celebrations at the end and how the players went over to him. It will do him a world of good after a bit of a dodgy campaign so far. And again, it just continues that good positivity, doesn't it? So thank you, MJ, for doing that.
What I would say is that Wilson, it was a good height for him, but he didn't half spank it. That was travelling. Yeah. So that was a good save. Probably a lot better save than people give it credit for.
I think any criticism of Michael Johnson, if there is any, it's right back at the start of the season. He opened 2 games. It does. Recently, he's been superb. He won us, helped win us the points at Hampton. He was excellent at Slough. Yeah. No, he's back to his best. There's no 2 ways about it. Let's hope, though, he doesn't have to keep cruising it game after game.
Yeah. I mean, another day, as you say, Dave. It looks totally different, doesn't it, at the end of the game with that? So,
Yeah.
um,
Right, we're where are we now? We're 5 points away from safety, as if you can be safe after 13 or 14 games. And the team above us, Bath, well, they're in action this evening. They are playing Worthing. That could be a fascinating game. Worthing has started hit a little bit of form now. They're still a bit erratic. A win would put them into the playoffs, whereas Bath, their confidence is low. So if they lose again, they're in real danger of getting sucked in. And Jerry Gill, after what, 6, 7 years there, he must be under a bit of pressure, you'd have thought.
he is. He definitely is. He's not the favourite member of the Bath City club there at the minute. It's fair to say. I mean, if Bath do win, I think this is a problem we've put ourselves in, isn't it? That we need a run of results ourselves to try and get within a certain number of points of teams. But if they pick up results here and then, it's going to be a struggle for the next few months to climb ourselves out of the bottom four. So yeah, we've only got ourselves to blame for putting ourselves in that position. So we just need to make sure we keep this run of results, and it'll be interesting to see how we react after having a little bit of a break over the next couple of days.
Well, it'd be interesting Saturday. You've got Aveley versus Weymouth. Aveley win, they go above us. Weymouth win, they go level with us, and we'll be above them on goal difference. And it's a lot tighter again in the bottom four, if that's the case.
Fellas. David Noble was on the BBC non-league show last night, and he said 12 points until we get to the playoffs. You know, that's how he's thinking. Admittedly, you know, it's that's not quite how it works. In so much of teams have got to play games around us as well, as you say, but. You know, he's got to be thinking like that, because if you start thinking about in October, you're 5 points away from safety with so much to play for. But as you say, Jake, we are where we are, mate. The table does not lie at all. We've had a horrendous start.
Yeah.
But maybe look, all of the good teams, they start their season in October, right?
Yeah. And I mean, first, what are we putting bets on what date we overtake Hemel Hempstead in the league? Because you know, it's only 12 points now. Mind the gap.
They still going.
Well, 12 points from the playoffs, which is fine, but we've got 10 points from 14 games. We should be there in about 2028.
Look, the reach is good, right? The reach is good. The ambition is good. Just let him have that moment. It's fine. Don't worry.
Yeah. Can we mention Bath's second own goal before we move on? Just the hilarity of it. Absolutely superb.
Danny Greenslade, thank you. Wonderful.
Absolutely.
To be fair, though, he has been absolutely majestic against us for season upon season. So he was bound to sort of, you know, he was due a bad performance. I say that he was pretty good. Just that one pass, and I don't think the keeper helped him out at all. To be fair,
no,
well, the keeper was almost wider than he was. but that goal again. It's the modern game. He'd already had the ball from the keeper, and he went back to him. Sean was shutting down the keeper. Sean was shutting down the keeper, so we're doing the right thing. So the ball even if it had gone to the keeper, he would have been under pressure. It was madness. The old days, left back, Elliott towards the missing oak tree down the other end.
Another positive for us. We were actually trying to press in their half, Dave. So there you go.
Yeah, everyone's doing their job.
Yeah,
well, sure.
Exactly. Yeah. Which is good. Right, okay. Is that Bath done and dusted?
Thankfully.
Right, as I think we've alluded to, we're at home next Tuesday night, 5th of November. Will there be fireworks at Clarence Park? Ho, ho, ho. Chelmsford City, we've beaten them in the last 4 games. The way we're going, are we going to make it 5?
I mean, we said we never we said that we never lose to Rod Stringer the other week, and then he went and did that. So let's not say the same this time.
Their last 7 league games, they had a terrible start to the season. Then suddenly they won 5-1 at Maidstone. That put them on a run of 4 straight wins. Their last 7, they won 5, drawn 1, lost 1. So they're very much in form, and we're starting to come into it. It promises to be quite a good game. Ryan Blackman went there in the summer, of course. He hasn't played since the end of August. Any news on him? Is he injured or what?
He did his ACL, I believe, at the end of August. Right. So I think he's out for the campaign, which is a shame. But as always for Chelmsford, they're a well-organised, good side, aren't they? Robbie Simpson's been doing really good work down there for the last 2.5, 3 years. And, well, not quite the start they expected their It's mad. We say they're in good form, but they're only 13th. So only 3 points off the playoff side. So it shows how tight the top half is, actually. But, you know, they've built a good team, and we know how they'll play Tuesday night. They've got their style to play. Well,
bypassing the midfield.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking, Lee.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, they're as low as they are because they only won one of their opening 5 games.
Yeah.
So they've been playing a bit of catch up. Not like, oh, hang on, yeah. Right, Fortress Clarence Park. Oh, we should have done a bit on bonfire night game, shouldn't we? Any changes? Any changes? A fit Long King comes into the starting lineup.
For me, he does. I think.
Yeah.
Question. I mean, Matt Lynch went off with a little hobble, didn't he, on Saturday? I think that's why he got pulled early. He looked okay in the change room, in the clubhouse afterwards. So hopefully he'll be okay. But aside from that, do we want to make any changes to the team? I suppose the other thing we should mention is George Hoddle, isn't it, Dave? He wasn't in the squad again. And for what we understand, he's gone back to Cambridge to have an injury assessed. So at the minute, the loan's not being extended, and it's just a case of wait to see what happens. So without him and Alfie Payne seemingly out the picture at the minute, not even on the squad on Saturday, I can't see any changes. Lee, would you make any?
I think what David's done is no, is the answer. But the thing is, last week we were talking about if Hoddle was fit, he would sort of come straight in. But what we're suggesting there is what we were criticising David Noble for at the start of the season, just trying to fit all the good players into one system and hope it all works out. I think to sort of change a winning team, given the fact how fragile our season has been to date, would be, the wrong thing to do, absolutely. And Long King, as good a player as he is, I think there's stability there that we're calling for now, isn't it? We mentioned this last week, that continuity, the consistency, the stability, and that stems from playing players in their, who are familiar positions in the familiar systems. And unless there are injuries, then there's no reason why we shouldn't start the same formation as well and the same team.
It is very tempting not to change a winning team. And after the game at Hampton, Nobby didn't change it for the Welling United game. At Hampton, it was an awful game. We were dreadful. And the performance against Welling was really tedious, lethargic. And he should have made changes then, just to let you know, we can do better than this or whatever. And but it was a much better performance against Bath. We won because we got the breaks. We only got one of the goals, don't forget. And I think to make changes would be wrong. I thought he was wrong on Saturday, actually, to take Sean Jeffers off. Sean wasn't dictating play, but he was the only City player to score. And we showed if we get the right ball in there, there's a fair chance he's going to stick it away. Well, and that hasn't changed.
He was about to be pulled off before he scored that goal. So thank goodness he stayed on. I have to say, I like him staying on, but I will say I think McKee Sevens has proved to be a decent impact player for the bench so far. And he's proven to be a good alternative option to whether Sean or anyone else comes on. I like that, even though it means less playing time for him. I know McKee started a couple of games, but I think him coming on as an impact player is a better option at the minute.
Mm-hmm. Right, okay. Should we do some predictions for whoever it is we've got next week? Chelmsford?
Yeah. Okay. Try not to get too cocky after a couple of decent results. I'm going to go. Sorry, 2-1 Saints.
Oh, hey.
2-1, 2 successive games. You've gone 2-1, Lee. Oh, no, it's, you went 3-0 last time. It was Jacob went 2-1 last week. Sorry, carry on.
I'm going to go 2-2.
2-2. Oh, Desmond.
Yeah.
And Chelmsford. All this confidence is totally misplaced. 1-0 defeat. And I hope I actually think I'll be wrong. I can't see us not scoring. And now we're opening up more. I think we will score, but we've balanced all three there. We've gone for a win, a draw, and a defeat. So.
Love you, Savs. Love you, mate.
Well, we're going to be full of energy after our few days off as well. No game this week, no game Saturday. We're going to be raring to go on Tuesday night.
Do you want to mention the FA Trophy draw? Basford United, side, of course, we've never played and know nothing about, so we're doing an in-depth look at them now.
Yeah. I mean, they're from the Northern Premier League and they're from Nottingham. That's all my research turned up. It's not the worst draw, is it? I think David Noble will be quite happy with that. It's of course it could always be a banana skin, but could have been much worse. It's a winnable tie.
Well, that banana skin comment, somebody got in touch with me yesterday and said, don't be fooled by them. The Northern Premier League is a tough league, and to think we're going to steamroll them or beat them or whatever, it's not going to be as simple as that. It probably will be now we said that. But you look at their record in the trophy, they've had 10 games away from home in the trophy. They've lost 8 of them and lost all the last 5. So they're not good travellers in the trophy. The league form's nothing to get excited about this season. Oh, you just hope we don't get complacent if we get to a good win against Chelmsford under our belts before then.
I think given our track record of taking FA competitions lightly, I don't think there's any chance of that, Taz. I think David Noble's learnt his lesson big time. But again, we're on a bit of an upturn now, hopefully, and if we can get something going on in the trophy as well, it'll really sort of kickstart our season, and it'll just add to a really good campaign, hopefully for the second half of it at least.
And also next Tuesday against Chelmsford, is there something to do about Frank Sue, former City coach, 2 spells of City coach in the 50s, late 40s first of all, then the 50s. Is there something happening about that?
Yeah, so Chelmsford were supposed to have a Essex County Cup game that night, but it looks like that's been moved because this game's dedicated to Frank Sue, who is being inducted to the Football Museum on Saturday, I believe. So Tuesday is going to be a bit of a dedicated game. So members of the Frank Sue Foundation, members of Frank's family are coming down to the game because Frank was also involved with Chelmsford City. It's worth Googling him and the foundation. We've mentioned him before on the podcast. Really interesting. When we were involved in the club, Lee, we sort of worked with Dave, didn't we, to put out a bit about him on the club's media. Really interesting character. And I think a figure that's been forgotten in the club's history up until the recent couple of years. So should be a good evening. And it's nice to see him receiving a tribute at Clarence Park, probably one that has been needed previously, and that just hasn't happened.
Get forgotten by the club. What a load of nonsense. Forgotten by certain individuals who are not interested in the history, and they should be proud of everything in the club's history. There we go. Yeah.
Lee, anything to add to what I said? That we can't end on that note, surely. Oh my God. Oh, Lee's hiding.
No, what I would say is that, yeah, do Google him because he was part of the Google Doodle when Jake and I were in charge of the media team. Really interesting story, great local history sort of involved around there as well. So Google him, have a research, and then come down to the club on Tuesday and support the Saints, because I think we've shown now that we are maybe turning a corner. So it would be no more fitting tribute to Frank than to get another Saints win.
And we should say well done to the club for doing this on Tuesday, even if it hasn't come previously. At least it is, whatever Dave
I love
thinks.
passive aggressive Jake. He's my favourite Jake.
No, I'm not being passive aggressive.
No.
I'm responding to tabs. Yeah, it is good to be. It'll be good to see, and it'll be a good evening. And Google as well the Frank Sue Foundation as well. They do some really good work.
Frank Sue was head coach for City for 60 games. Won 23, drew 10, lost 27, 118 goals for, 115 against. His first game was the 4th of October, 1947. Well, that's good, same month, which is nice. And his final game was the 31st of March, 1951. That was the end of his second spell, at which, if memory serves, he went off to manage Italian club Padova, who we then played at a friendly with about 15 years later.
I'm quite impressed Dave managed to find this all 10 seconds after a little run. It's,
Mate, he was there. What are you talking about? It's rolls off the tongue, buddy.
That's true. He was there.
Well, he was still a player with Luton Town when he first joined us. I think he actually saw out his playing days with Chelmsford City, which is hence the connection between two clubs. But anyway, yes. First player of colour they described him to play for England. Wartime internationals that was, not what you call normal internationals, but wartime internationals. Still a magnificent achievement, though.
Absolutely. Well, on that positive note, Dave, do you have anything else you want to add before we go away?
No, except thanks for a few kind words from several people. Much appreciated.
Absolutely. Lee, anything else?
I suppose we should wish our young Saints good luck for tomorrow night in the FA Youth Cup first round. So good luck, boys.
Yep. Bring it home.
The stars of the future.
I mean, you have to say, like, FA Youth Cup runs can be quite good. I remember the one we had with JJ O'Donnell and Godfrey Poku quite a few years ago now. I mean, a long time ago, actually.
Yeah.
That was good for the club at the time. It was a good little bit of exposure. And hopefully the lads can do something similar this time round.
Who are they playing, Lee?
Mersham?
Something, yeah. Yeah, the whole of the Merson family. Yes, something like that, yeah. Didn't David Noble play in the FA Youth Cup final?
Yes, he did for Arsenal, didn't he?
Mm.
There you go. Oh, good luck,
And
lads.
first time I saw George Hoddle, I guess, was... oh, no, it wasn't the first time. It must have been with us by then. I saw him playing in the FA Youth Cup against Arsenal. Was it the Emirates? When Tim Petty and I went up there and watched him. Terrific game it was. Cambridgeshire won. Unlucky defeat.
Yes.
You've not mentioned McConnell in the bloody...
It was McConnell we've seen before, not Hoddle.
Yes.
But of course, Hoddle was playing in that game. Well spotted, Lee. I'm just testing you.
Yeah. I mean, you haven't mentioned McConnell in 2 weeks, Dave. So come on.
Well, he's coming back from injury. He's fully fit now. He's training with the first team. He'll be on loan to us soon. Don't worry. Oh no, of course he won't. He's too attack minded. He won't be.
Oh, Dave, we try to be positive.
Wrap it up, Jake,
Jake, right. On that not so positive note, Podful of Saints on Twitter, email description below. Thank you all for watching and listening to us last week. Really appreciated. And we will speak to you again next week after the Saints play Chelmsford City. Thank you all very much, everyone. Up the Saints. Bye-bye.